came out and I was literally sitting at my desk and I actually started crying. Like, I actually put the Tortured and Tortured Poets department. The song's so long and I literally wanted to make me cry.
I swear to Jesus, fuck!
Hello and welcome.
Today on the show, we're talking pingers, old people, and a seal named Neil. That's coming up.
But for now, Coachella has officially come and gone for another year, with the second weekend of the iconic festival wrapping up yesterday.
However, unlike previous years, ticket sales were down, around 15%, a fall that mirrors the recent woes of the Australian festival scene.
It appears that the industry is under threat on every continent. But if Coachella, the most Instagrammable and insufferable of them all, can't keep sales up, is there any hope for the rest of them?
If you care at all, please listen to this message and consider donating.
With music festivals on the brink worldwide, millions of kids are at risk of living without hope. Do you want to live in a world where our youth can't blow a month's worth of pay up their nose on a remote farm while wearing the ugliest shirts you've ever seen? Meet Josh. He's been hitting the gym with his bros all year, just so he can confidently be shirtless in the mosh.
In it for the festival shred.
Meet Amy. She's been listening to techno music for months now in preparation for pretending like she likes it in front of her boyfriend's jort-wearing friends.
This totally doesn't sound like all the other ones.
Meet Jet. He relies on the money he makes from selling caps to make rent.
Not a bad day at the office.
And meet Mia. She's just found the perfect pair of op-shop speed dealer sunnies.
They match my bum bag.
Little do they know, the end of the festivals they love could be right around the corner. Do you want them to end up doing drugs in fields, but without the music? To help people like Josh, Amy, Jet and Mia, donate today to safe festivals all across the world. Give the children something to live for. Give hope, give money, give LSD.
Slugging right along now from parties to pingers.
Prominent housing advocate and vocal fry enthusiast Purple Pingers is under fire these past weeks for pissing off the project panel and advocating for squatters' rights.
Do they hook the house up to electricity, power, gas?
Haven't asked him.
So they're just basically camping out in abandoned homes with no power?
Yeah, I guess it's raining in Melbourne at the moment, so I guess camping out inside is probably better than camping out in a bush.
We now cross to Emma, our resident Melburnian, to give us the latest scoop.
Real estate and housing activist Jordan Vandenberg, better known as Purple Pingers, has come out recently encouraging those in need to move into the many abandoned properties in Victoria. Here at The Struggle, we have found an abandoned real estate jackpot for those in need, right in the heart of the concrete jungle. Today, I come to you from Melbourne's very own windy derelict wasteland, Docklands, the home of the state's biggest, or should I say, tallest, abandoned property. If you're looking for housing security, the Melbourne Star might be the place for you. While it may say temporarily closed, the 1,250-tonne wheel has been inoperative for almost 3 years. Lord Mayor Sally Capp says that the owners are no longer interested in finding a buyer that will get the wheel spinning again, but are planning for the transport of its parts to a scrapyard, which is not yet possible due to its size. It may be a 30-minute wait for the bathroom. However, we know from the mechanical incident in 2018 that there are emergency urinals equipped on each cabin. So there you go, Melburnians. Harbourside property with a view. Come and get it, squatters.
We've been waitlisted.
Oh, we'll tell them we can pay 6 months up front.
They said it's full.
Oh, good. We can't afford 6 months up front.
Well, from too many applicants to not enough. Trouble has hit the US court system. Finding an unbiased jury for the trial of Donald Trump proves to be a task more difficult than anything Stormy Daniels had to endure.
We at The Struggle have found a unique human talent pool that could offer just the solution.
Question for the culture. The Amish?
Hello, ma'am and ma'am. Thank you kindly for having me on.
That's okay, Fanny. Today, we wanted to talk to you about American politics. specifically with the trouble the New York court system is having finding an unbiased jury for Donald Trump's criminal trial.
I am sorry. Those words have no meaning to me. I don't follow English humour.
No, Fanny. This is about legal proceedings. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's infamy is in the red corner, and the overwhelmingly Democratic blue bias present in New York means they've had to reject the first 96 prospective jurors.
Blue? Is the whole area upset? We are not promised skies always blue, but a helper to see us through.
No. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Anyways, Fanny, since the Amish are such a reserved community, we thought you could be impartial in this case, which is exactly what prosecutors are looking for. Would you like to join the jury?
Two cannot quarrel when one will not. Our duty is not to see through one another, but to see one another through.
No, Fanny. Do you know what a jury is? You enter a court and as a group decide whether or not the accused is guilty.
Trickles tend to become streams, and streams become torrents in the case of turmoil like this.
So, do you have no interest in politics at all?
Opportunity may knock once, but temptation bangs on your front door forever. If we start involving in ridiculous games such as this, we participate forever.
Do you think your propensity to speak only in rhymes and riddles may pose challenges in the deliberation process, Miss Fisher Grabber Bontrager?
Well, my mother always told me a man's word is like the sole of a shoe. If a monkey's finger can pass through the middle of the sole, then the hay in the barn too shall remain dry. Which reminds me, Jebediah told me last week that in the courthouse of New York they have a man there who is as old as Moses and whose ancient words make sheep and chickens quake with fear. Father said...
One legal practitioner that always leaves the clerks in chaos and the stenographers in stitches is the Honourable Justice Michael Lee of the Federal Court of Australia.
Last Monday saw Justice Lee hand down the landmark decision on the Lehrmann v Channel 10 defamation case in the gut-busting and laugh-a-minute judgment style only he can.
Were you watching Justice Michael Lee's 3-hour delivery of his Bruce Lehrmann defamation verdict and thinking, wow, I sure need a piss right now, but this guy is hilariously witty?
His Walter Mitty-like imaginings, his attachment to the truth was a tenuous one.
Well, you're in luck, because he is me. I'm Justice Michael Lee, and I'm going on tour. If you love comical comments and old-school turns of phrase hammered in where they don't necessarily belong...
May just be all mouth and trousers. Said he was going to show Miss Higgins whiskey, not Queen Dynasty ceramics.
And to have a chuckle in front of the country's media, just for the hell of it.
One does not pash passively. In the case of Mr. Lehrmann, the untruths were all over the shop.
Then grab a ticket today.
And you can catch Justice Lee's Melbourne Comedy Fest show playing 11 p.m. upstairs at the Coopers Inn for the remainder of the month.
Someone whose prospective festival run this year was brought to an abrupt end is Australia's foremost chungus and now proven sex pest, Mr. Bruce Lehrmann. This one's for you, Brucey baby.
My advice to Bruce, given he's studying law, would probably be to take up another course at university.
You're Bruce Lehrmann. Well, we have heard some whispers about your potential career change, but it's time to switch gears and get the real education at the one and only Monach University. So what, law isn't your forte, but we have got a heaps of courses to explore from, and let's be real, Bruce, your legal record isn't exactly stellar in Canberra. But whatever course you choose from, you will be first head diving into our Respect Monach module, a comprehensive 30-minute rape-begone course designed to prepare our students to deal with the peskiness of the outside consent-heavy world. So what are you waiting for, Bruce? It's time to level up your studies at Monach University, and who knows, you will take that nursing course to treat your code-beaten ass. And you should try our gender studies course because I think that's much more of your speed. But most important lesson, Bruce, not to flick your dick around without consent. Monach University. I'm still learning.
Taking the alleged out of the alleged rapist.
Feels good.
You know what also feels good? These ads. Welcome back, you crusty old cretins. As viewers of public access television, there's a good chance you get your nappies changed with your arthritis prescription refills.
As such, this next investigation may be of particular interest to our grey-haired and technologically impaired audience.
Last week, the National Gallery of Victoria announced its summer exhibition, which will feature the works of Yayoi Kusama.
Yayoi is a renowned 95-year-old Japanese artist whose work has become a staple on Instagram.
It got us thinking, which other oldies have what it takes to become a social media influencer?
I hear it's a very untapped market. Sam hit the streets to find out.
I sense we're getting closer to the source. Do you have any social media accounts?
No.
No. The only thing I use is Facebook.
And why is that?
I don't really want to watch monkeys dancing and people doing silly things.
Would you ever consider yourself maybe being one of those dancers on TikTok?
No, I can't dance.
Not at my age, no. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it, basically. So I don't want to go out there and say, hey, I've got no substance. Buy things, send me money.
You know, one thing we didn't really think about before doing this is that old people generally don't want to be on social media, so why the hell would they talk to us? Do you have any special skills or talents that you might display?
No.
I think you would bring a je ne sais quoi to the social media landscape, something new, something different.
Not that I know of, no. I started my own IT businesses and started things that were involved in AI.
So what I'm sensing is a bit more of a tech and business influencer from you.
I started the Australian IT industry. Don't listen to Malcolm Turnbull, he's full of it. You wouldn't even know a bite from a bit.
So honestly, props to Kusama Yayoi, because the people we've spoken to today either don't know about social media, don't want to know about social media, or don't care about social media. Over to you.
Across the Bass Strait now, and two modern-day icons of Australiana are under fire this week for their use of social networking platforms.
To the general public, ordinary folks like you and me, it can be difficult to properly understand these strange Tasmanian stories.
Luckily for us, we at The Struggle have our very own resident Tasmanian, who's here to help us break down the happenings of the Apple Isle.
I'm joined today by the state's resident crime boss, Neil the Seal. Neil, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for giving me this awesome opportunity.
I must say, you look a little bit different to your Instagram profile.
Yes. The camera does add 100 pounds. And the costume.
When you first arrived in Tassie in 2022, your month-long stint in the quaint seaside village of Hobart coincidentally saw a 14% rise in assaults in the 12 months following your visit.
What exactly are you suggesting?
Recently in Bridgewater, author and rapper Spanian has taken the fall for your chaotic behaviour and damage to police cars. But the tracker on your forehead, displayed here, which I can only assume is an ankle monitor, indicates that you're on probation and needed a scape seal for the crime.
If you suggesting I was behind the violence and destruction, I'd love to see some proof. Just because I've been caught robbing a real estate office and ploughing through cones doesn't mean I'm automatically the bad seal here.
Yes, but your presence on Instagram shows you willingly damage public property and draw large crowds as a result. And you've been notably inactive since December. Perhaps you were plotting this crime, which would explain why the police confronted you in this footage.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? Fuck. I don't have to put up with this.
Neil!
Now we go to a story that's touched more hearts than a surgeon.
Viral avian sensation Molly the Magpie has this week been reunited with long-term companions and breastfeeding buddies Staffordshire Terriers Ruby and Peggy.
They are like two peas in a pod again. Oh, that's it. There's nothing else on the auto cue. Where's the jokes? What's the angle here?
Not everything has to be a joke, Molly. Do we have to make fun of an adorable animal duo too?
That's such a waste of a story then.
Did we mention Molly drinks the dog's milk?
That was one time. You said you were going to keep that private.
I meant the bird.
Oh, right.
And we're out of time for that one. On to another partnership now with a few more teeth involved this time.
The defence ministers of all Orcus nations last week released a joint statement indicating their interest in allowing Japan to join the exclusive military faction.
First devised as a club for white people to get together and keep all the best military technology for themselves, the introduction of Japan as a Pillar 2 member state has been met with mixed responses from the nautical community.
Joining us in the studio is former Australian Navy contractor and seafaring dog, Captain Scrimshaw Snailstone.
Ahoy, Captain! Could you give our audience some more insight into Orcus and its proposed evolution?
Yar, pleasure to be on the show with ye comely lasses. Orcus itself was devised 3 years ago with 2 goals in mind. To share a fleet of nuclear-powered submarinal devices, and second, to work together with the global Anglo-Saxon community in the sharing of military technology and intelligence. Much like the majestic orca that swallowed me beloved son, Orcus in its current form sits comfortably atop the oceanic food chain, geographically unbothered by the perils of the giant Chinese squid, whose tentacles and beak presently patrol the Pacific.
Japan's pre-established ties with Orcus member states and position atop the Pacific Rim would seemingly make them an ideal candidate for membership. What's driving the apparent pushback to their admittance?
Any brine-soaked sea dog with a basic understanding of the phonetic English alphabet and the delicate geopolitical state of the region could answer that one. Adding the J of the Nihon Navy to Orcus means only one thing: JAUKUS.
JAUKUS?
JAUKUS. A cold, unfeeling force of military-grade cartilage and steel. A nuclear shark destined to trawl the depths of the South China Sea, looking for wayward sailors. China's foreign ministry spokesperson Mao Ning was right to warn Japan to earnestly draw lessons from history and stay prudent on security and military issues.
Does this mean we should expect a Pacific naval war? Should Japan be admitted to Orcus?
Yeah, be ye not hearing me, landlubber? 'Tis not the war we fear, but the burning Chinese desire to capture and cook our prospective JAUKUS into the world's largest shark fin soup.
For further analysis on this developing story, the captain will be appearing alongside Alan Benici on Fishing Mad later this week here on Channel 31.
Captain Snailstone, thanks for joining us.
And also with you, good captain.
Let's kill some time with some ads. Sup, little homies? Those were some totally rad and sick and totally wicked ads, huh?
Laura, stop.
Right. Old people.
While the High Court has previously determined that our government bears no responsibility to the youth of Australia to mitigate the effects of climate change, perhaps our legislators would be whistling a different tune if it was the futures of our elderly population in the climactic crosshairs.
Let's take a look.
Do you want our grannies dropping to the floor by merely stepping foot outside? Do you want our grannies struggling to breathe from asthma and smog? Do you want our poor old grannies to suffer the horrors of the climate catastrophe? I certainly hope not, but this will be the case if the government doesn't take action on climate change, because whilst it affects us all, it hits our nonnas the hardest. Heat stroke, depression, heart problems. These are the ailments that await our octogenarian loved ones. With your help, we can follow in the footsteps of the elderly of Switzerland by gathering over 2,000 grandmas to make a stand for government action, so that our mimas can enjoy their last days of sunlight. We have tried using the voices of young children to change the government's involvement in the climate crisis, and yet this failed us. But when have we Australians ever given up on what we wanted? So get your nonnas and let's go to court. Because whilst the Aussie kids can't change the government's mind, our hunchbacked grandmas sure can.
Hopefully these policies will help to ensure a sustainable future for my own beloved 149-year-old great-grandmother. Love you, Splee Spawn.
So much life ahead of her. Now, from people who only care about the elderly to people who speak only to the elderly.
Here's a word from our self-hating heroine, Rita the Ride Fighter.
The fall of street walking Girlboss has finally arrived. Let's look at Trung Milan. a Girlboss businesswoman in socialist Vietnam who was recently charged with embezzlement and corruption for owning 90% of Saigon Commercial Bank through shell companies. Just typical of modern women. Even their companies are hollow. Clearly, Lan, you did not have the right plan, because Lan now has been sentenced to death. Vietnam's leader Nguyen Phu Trong thought Lan's actions didn't reflect Socialist Republic of Vietnam, a system of matriarchal evil that strangles koalas and pisses on mateship. It's time that we women let men do what they do best. Lead our world with masculine logic and penile power. All you socialist-loving fembots say you want to be a girl boss, but the moment you get a taste of freedom, you run away with 3% of a country's GDP. Why not just be thankful for the things you've already been given by men? Occasional sleepy, proportionally lower wages, and anxiety while walking home at night. You have the ability to eat, sleep, whore yourself out on dating apps to low-value men. What's not to love? So do better, women. Do better.
Rounding out this week's broadcast, you know what's coming.
Welcome back to The Desk, the #1 in-house band across all of Channel 31's news comedy broadcast lineup, the Wet Baristas and their Liberal Bushes.
Welcome back, Bushes.
Well, that's not actually correct.
Yeah, where's the goddamn respect going around here?
Sorry, auto cue problem?
So what inspired you two delirious ladies to pick up instruments again?
God.
No.
What?
The Australian Defence decided to flash the big bucks last week, planning to spend $50 billion in the next decade.
On top of their already planned spending of $72.8 billion.
Leading to a grand total of $122.8 billion bucks on the Aussie defence.
Oh. That's a lot.
Where is all this funding going?
Well, back in 2001...
No, it's on undersea warfare and has nothing to do with the air or the towers.
We weren't thinking along those airwaves, but thank you for the clarification.
Yep, we just felt it was important to let Australia know about our new and improved amphibious defence force.
Trust in the toads.
Right. Wait.
Please enjoy our new song, Frogs with Guns.
Frogs with guns, frogs with guns, frogs with guns, frogs with guns. Used to spend my nights drinking, staring out at the farm. But how I fucking love my country. Gun in pocket, girl on arm. That's how I came to enlist. I can fight and getting pissed, but defense has gone amphibious. No need for men. It's doggone hideous. They're wanting to recruit some frogs with guns. My gun, who took my gun? If I can't shoot, it's just no fun. My freedom is gone. Yeah. With a gun, I'm a bull with balls. With a gun, I'm a rhino's horns. Like a root that's standing tall, I can fight, but now we're enlisting frogs.
Our frogs with guns, men like us are bygone era. Just like carbs in full strength beer, fighter knows one thing in life: $50 billion on frogs who fight. It just ain't right. It just ain't right.
It just ain't right. Oh God, they're so hideous. Fucks with guns. 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 Fucks with guns.